looking at Greenland and say, I like it. I want to take it for mine. That is a very colonized.
You have said you are.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland and quote colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
Woo! Let's rewind it. Let's rewind it to make sure you guys heard what he said.
If you want to engage in personal insults about the president, talking about you. You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
If you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you
what
do.
You lack in a legitimate point, you make up for in personal insults.
I don't. You
personal insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage. So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not
if I were
isolated.
you, I would reserve that for your party, who is increasingly isolated. This blow our position
outside of you.
So first off, I don't know. Is her voice annoying to you? It's just like she's loud, she's nasty, you know. She's not pleasant at all. She's very smug, very condescending. She's annoying. And besides her politics, you know, where she just lies, she doesn't know what she's talking about. We're going to get into that. But she's the loudest one on the panel. Why is that? Why do they always have to be so nasty?
You know, it's like a gnat or a fly. You know, everybody's just flying around and buzzing. It's right there, and you just want to swat it over and over and over. You don't know why it just won't go away or stop until you get out. He got out the fly swatter. That's all. That's what he said.
Yeah,
and she's right. She does not know what she's talking about. I love that we're self-isolating. Are you kidding me? We're the biggest consumer. Do you know how much the world needs us, especially China? Anybody. That's why this tariff, what they call a war, is really not. It's us telling every other nation that, hey, we are the biggest, we are the baddest, we are the strongest. So let's make sure that we're treated that way and work things out. But the fact that she had the audacity to say, well, at this point, you're irrelevant.
Right.
And I know she tried to make it seem like she was talking about him not being a member of the legislation or senator. No, he's not irrelevant. And he's educated and he knows what he's talking about. So just those comments by themselves, that's why she did start it. She started the personal insults. And she doesn't like it when she gets it back. She doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't. And so, of course, you know, people tried to make this a racial thing because she's a Black woman and Scott Jennings is white, when it has nothing to do with this. I mean, she started out with the snarky comment first, and then he pretty much gave it back to her. But here she is again. And this is an actual example of just how uneducated, how ignorant she is on the facts, on the politics of what's going on now. She's talking about China. Take a look here.
Honestly, the trade is asymmetrical.
And who voted for Donald Trump?
Precisely. Trade is asymmetrical with China. We imported over 439 billion products from China. We exported over 140 billion from China. Their own foreign ministry has said, we will not flinch. We will not genuflect to a bullying government. I respectfully disagree.
Though, Tiffany, that we rely so much on an adversary to make most of our goods?
Listen, whether it bothers me or not is irrelevant. I'm dealing with reality. It is important, but this is what it is.
Why does it have to be the reality that we are dependent on so many things to come out of our biggest adversary in the world? They are the enemy, and we should not be dependent on them.
But no, they are not our enemy. They're our biggest trading partner. And if we
they've got earth minerals and you don't.
They're the enemy.
Right. But listen, but like it or not, sure, Michael, they are our biggest trading partner. And if we were to manufacture iPhones here, iPhones would cost $3,500. The American people are not going to tolerate that. We have one of the highest standards of working conditions here. I don't think that we can say, forget you, China. They literally.
So you're okay. Hold on, sure, Michael. So you're okay. You're okay if we continue to put our own economic and national security future in the hands of our biggest enemy, because effectively they use slave labor to build stuff and that makes it better for us, that is terrible.
I am 100% not okay with that, but I'm dealing in the reality of what is.
Do you want to change it?
But we need to
I absolutely want to change it. I
do.
don't know that changing it means isolating us on the global stage.
So what happens,
with these
Tiffany, if I could ask,
yeah.
what happens if we ever have a military conflict with China and they say, you know what, we're going to put an embargo on anything shipping to the United States. We're going to stop everything. What happens then?
There we go. Okay. So, great exchange there. Great exchange. She was way out of her league. She was so out of her league. Michelle, what did you think about that exchange?
She's swimming in the kiddie pool and she thinks she's in the ocean. She is way, way out of her league. You are correct. And they are not, we may have a lot of major deals in trading. People don't realize that the Chinese government right now, they don't have a strong, robust economy.
Right.
If the people there decide, right now, the leader is walking a tightrope. He tried us, and it'll be like, a little quote. He will be weighed, he will be measured, and he will be found wanting, because all we have to say is no. And I think it's great. I think this is a let's just cut it off. Start fresh. Trump is doing that. We voted for this, and we're seeing it. What's crazy is we're seeing it in real time. And just as they want us to panic, the markets were picking up again, and things are already starting to self-correct. And I have said this for maybe 10 years in my inner circles, and definitely in the last 4 to 5 years in the political arena, is that we have to stop being reliant on China or any foreign government for our basic medical necessities. Ibuprofen and the ingredients for acetaminophen, all of those things we should have access to here at home or closer to home. I don't know why we haven't done it. And I think it's because we never had leadership strong enough to say, I don't need your money. We have resources. In fact, we have amazing mineral resources that we don't talk about. Alaska, we are sitting on top of some of the greatest resources on earth. It just took strong leadership to tap into it. The same leadership that closed the border in a matter of months. It just takes that. And she has a weak argument because she has no knowledge on the subject. You can throw out numbers that you can pull up from anywhere, but she doesn't understand.
She surely doesn't. She surely doesn't. And this is why we are so fortunate to have President Trump as the president right now. First of all, nobody knows what he's going to do. He's very people don't know what his next move is. They cannot pinpoint what he's going to do. Just like what he did with the markets, he said he was going to raise tariffs on all of these countries. Started out at 100%. What was it? 75% on China. Now he's at 120%, and now he's paused the tariffs on the other countries. And we've seen, like you mentioned, a significant jump in our markets because of it. He knows exactly what he's doing. We in America can play the long game when it comes to this tariff game. America's resilience, reshoring, and tech dominance gives us leverage that China does not have. And so this is what it seems as though President Trump is doing. China's growth model is dependent, fragile, and peaking, and they cannot outlast this. And I think that's what Trump understands.
He does. I believe it was Australia that the Chinese government, they tried to reach out to Australia. And right now there are ships that were bringing in product that are essentially stranded offshore because they are not sure if they can bring the goods here to the States. And when they tried to offer, the Chinese government tried to offer, because we know Chinese companies are owned by their government, tried to offer it to other nations. And I'll look up which ones. I thought it was Australia. Australia that said, yeah, about that. No. So right now, we were the nation buying the cheapest goods. They're going to have to find a way to offload millions and millions of dollars of cheap goods to nations. The European nations are probably going to be like, no, we don't need your cheap goods. Exactly. So what she said in that, I don't want to buy the expensive iPhones. Yeah, that shows exactly where we're at. That is the ignorance of the average American person and thinking, I don't want to pay more for this. And that's why I love Scott and saying, so you're okay with slave labor as long as you get affordable product. That is what we're exposing. And the left doesn't want to talk about that. They want to stand their high horse.
And any other time they do. Any other time they're talking about, colonization and imperialistic and things like that. But the media loves to soft pedal this stuff. They talk about China being a strategic competitor, misunderstood partner, blah, blah, blah. Let's be real. China is not just a competitor. It's an adversary, which she was wrongly saying that they aren't. They are an adversary. It's a communist surveillance state masquerading as a market economy. The CCP's model is authoritarian capitalism, centralized control, no free speech, no free press, no elections. And they are an adversary to the United States. So you don't engage with a regime that throws Christians in jail, sterilizes the Muslim Uyghurs, and bans Winnie the Pooh memes like it's a business partner. They are an adversary. And I can't believe I can believe she would say that, because she's a Marxist.
Oh, well, we should believe it, but you're right. You guys, if this, again, not an adversary until what, tomorrow? Right. What a fool to think that a nation that large, who is building 2 to 3 times more ships, and I mean warships, warcraft than us, is not a potential adversary, at least potential, if not our key adversary. And what I love about Donald Trump, and what I told people, is you don't have to like his personality. It is his unpredictability that makes him the best president we could have, because other world leaders don't know what he's going to do, but they sure know when he says he's going to do it, it's already done.
Right.
And that's what keeps them on their toes. That puts fear into other world leaders. And it as well it should. And I'm not afraid, and I'm not ashamed to be the strongest nation. And peace through strength is real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe she said that. Remember what we just went through? Was it last year, the year before last, with that Chinese balloon going all over the Midwest, near all of our military bases?
And all the lovely pictures that the Biden administration decided, let's let them do their world tour over the United States and get all of our sensitive material.
Exactly. Not only did they do that, but their state actors are behind millions of cyber attacks against institutions here, targeting everything from government systems to Fortune 500 companies. They stole OPM data, trade secrets. The whole TikTok thing, is a mass surveillance tool. The list goes on. I mean, for her to just say that, it really makes me think she's an enemy of the United States.